Hi, my name is Will Pridemore, and I'm the Director of Compliance here for the Weber State University Athletics Program. In compliance, our job is to ensure that all student athletes follow all the rules established by the NCAA, the Big Sky Conference, and Weber State University. For our returning players, this should be a brief reminder of what is required of our student athletes at Weber State. For our new student athletes, this video is an introduction to the rules you'll need to follow as a student athlete.
The most important of all the NCAA's rules is the rule on ethical conduct. The NCAA expects all of us associated with intercollegiate athletics to act with honesty, integrity, and sportsmanship at all times. This applies to behavior on the fields in courts of competition as well as in your academic pursuits. As a student athlete, you're required to provide accurate and complete information that is relevant to an NCAA investigation. Additionally, the NCAA and Weber State require that you complete all of your coursework by yourself. You may receive permissible help from tutors, but what is turned in must be your own effort. Failure to do this can result in a finding of academic misconduct and can affect your eligibility to compete.
The NCAA prohibits student athletes and staff members from engaging in sports wagering. Violations occur when you agree to give up an item of value for the chance to win an item of value. This most commonly includes money, but can also include betting things like meals, clothing, etc. The NCAA's prohibition on sports wagering applies to any level of any sport in which the NCAA conducts a championship. This includes high school, college, and professional events. A first-time offense will make you ineligible for at least 1 year, and you will lose 1 season of competition. A second offense will result in a permanent ineligibility for all sports. Some examples of impermissible betting can include fantasy leagues, Super Bowl pools, and NCAA tournament pools. If a student athlete is caught point shaving or gambling on Weber State athletic events, you are permanently ineligible. Sports wagering is one of the quickest ways to lose your eligibility. Be smart about what you do in your free time, and always remember, don't bet on it.
As student athletes, you are subject to both the NCAA's and Weber State's drug testing programs. Both the NCAA and Weber State have drug testing policies that must be followed if you want to maintain your eligibility to compete. You are required to show up for all drug tests. Failure to appear for a drug test is treated the same as producing a positive test. The penalty for a failed NCAA drug test is typically loss of one of your 4 seasons of competition and suspension from competition for at least 1 year. Your athletic scholarship can be canceled or reduced if you fail an NCAA drug test. Failing a second NCAA drug test typically leaves you permanently ineligible in all sports. Please be careful with what you are putting into your bodies at all times. Even drugs that you wouldn't normally think of as a problem can lead to a positive test. For example, asthma and ADHD medications are considered banned substances without a valid prescription. It's also important to pay attention to what supplements you are taking. The supplement market is not strictly regulated, so make sure to contact the athletics training staff before you begin to take a new supplement.
The NCAA requires that you meet certain academic requirements to be eligible to compete your sport. You have to be enrolled full-time, which is at least 12 credits for undergraduates and at least 9 credits for graduate students. Additionally, you must pass 6 degree applicable credits each semester. You must pass 18 degree applicable credits combined in the fall and spring semesters. After your first year, you must pass 24 credits. Thereafter, you have to meet percentage of degree requirements, meaning that after your second year, at least 40% of your degree must be completed. After your third year, at least 60% of your degree must be completed. After your fourth year, at least 80% of your degree must be completed. You must also satisfy GPA requirements and remain in good academic standing. Members of the football team must also pass 9 degree applicable credits each fall semester. Make sure that you speak to your academic advisor with questions you have about your academic eligibility and if you want to make changes to your course schedule.
Amateurism is one of the core pillars that makes the NCAA what it is. It states that student athletes cannot receive compensation for their athletic abilities. You are not eligible for participation in a sport if you have ever accepted pay or the promise of pay for competing in your sport, agreed either orally or in writing to compete in professional athletics in that sport, played on any professional athletics team, used your athletic skill for pay in any form in your sport, or entered into an agreement with an agent for current or future representation. Rules related to agents must be followed by the student athletes as well as your relatives and friends. You will lose your eligibility if your relatives or friends accept money, transportation, lodging, entertainment, or other benefits from an agent. They can also compromise your eligibility by negotiating with agents on your behalf. If you have a job, the NCAA requires that you are paid the going rate for your work, along with getting paid only for the work that is actually performed. The NCAA allows you to receive compensation for teaching your sport on a fee-for-lesson basis. Provided that institutional facilities are not used, you do not advertise the availability of your services, you do not provide a playing lesson, you do not receive payment from someone other than the recipient or the recipient's family, and the appropriate compliance paperwork is received. A student athlete may establish his or her own business provided the student athlete's name, photograph, appearance, or athletics reputation are not used to promote the business. A student athlete also cannot use his or her name in the name of his or her business. A student athlete also cannot have their name appear on any marketing materials such as business cards or a website. These rules apply even if it is a class project. One final topic related to amateurism that is increasingly becoming an issue for student athletes is the use of crowdfunding websites such as GoFundMe. Generally, student athletes cannot use their name, picture, or athletics reputation in connection with a crowdfunding campaign such as GoFundMe, because GoFundMe and similar websites are commercial entities. If you have a situation arise where you would like to create a GoFundMe campaign, speak to the compliance staff.
One of the foundational principles of Division I athletics is the 5-year rule. Student athletes have 5 calendar years to use up to 4 seasons of competition in a sport. The 5-year clock starts when you first enroll as a full-time student at any college or university. The clock continuously runs until the end of your 5-year eligibility period is completed. There are exceptions to this, such as service on an official church mission or active duty military service. It's important to know that except in exhibition games and informal practice scrimmages, any amount of competition in a season triggers the use of one of your 4 seasons of competition. Participating in one play of one game counts the same as playing every minute of every game for this rule. Not competing at all in any contest means that you've redshirted. The 5-year rule allows for 1 redshirt season. A medical hardship, commonly known as a medical redshirt, occurs when you compete during a season, but then become injured or ill to the point where you can no longer continue to play. We can apply for a medical hardship to restore that season of competition if you suffered an incapacitating injury or illness, did not compete in more than 30% of your team season, and did not compete past the halfway point of your team season. Multiple seasons lost to circumstances outside your control, such as 2 medical hardships, can qualify you for an extension of the 5-year eligibility period.
As a student athlete, you cannot accept anything that is not available to the general student body or the general public. Extra benefit rules apply to yourself as well as your family and friends. Some examples of extra benefits include free or reduced cost transportation, lodging, training expenses, food, clothing, and financial loans. As a simple rule of thumb, you cannot accept any discount that isn't available to the general public. As a student athlete at Weber State, you may receive complimentary admissions for games in which you participate. These tickets are for family and friends. It is impermissible for you to sell or receive an item of value for a spot on your pass list. This rule also applies to the people you list or include on the pass list. It's not all bad news, though. The NCAA does allow you to accept benefits that are not available to all Weber State students or the general public. Those benefits include academic expenses, career development resources, healthcare, travel to represent Weber State, including receipt of frequent flyer miles or points for those trips, meals and snacks, including the refueling station housed at the Stadium House.
When your team is in season, student athletes cannot practice for more than 20 hours in a week and no more than 4 hours in a day. Competition days count as 3 hours regardless of how long the competition takes, and coaches are required to provide 1 day off per week. When teams are out of season, CARA rules change. Student athletes cannot practice more than 8 hours a week. In all sports except football, no more than 2 of these hours may involve skill instruction, and the rest of the hours must be spent doing strength and conditioning activities. In football, skill instruction is not permitted, but you are permitted to do up to 2 hours of film review each week. When you're out of season, coaches must also provide 2 days off per week. Coaches are required to report your weekly hours to compliance. You have the chance to verify all CARA logs through Jump Forward, so make sure you are checking your emails. Your coaches cannot see your responses to the logs that are submitted, and verifying logs is the only way we can verify that you are not exceeding the 20 or 8 hours you're allowed in a week. This table shows what kinds of activities are countable and which kinds are not.
During the academic year, except in limited circumstances, student athletes may not participate on any outside team in any non-collegiate amateur competition. Some exceptions that may be available are participating in intramurals competition outside of declared playing and practice season during any official vacation period, or individual unattached competition while not wearing your Weber State uniform. Don't receive expenses from Weber State, and don't receive instruction from your coach. If you competed on a team this past summer, your participation must stop when practice begins. For any questions, make sure to stop by the compliance office.
Athletic scholarships are generally one-year agreements. During the period of the award, your scholarship can be canceled or reduced only for the reasons stated on your scholarship. Those reasons include rendering yourself ineligible, violating the Student Athlete Code of Conduct, or violating team rules. As student athletes, you can receive financial aid only from the following sources: Weber State Athletics, Weber State University, including academic scholarships, the Weber Edge, and the WUI, federal financial aid such as Pell Grants and student loans, anyone on whom you're naturally or legally dependent, such as your family members, or an entity outside of Weber State that meets NCAA requirements. This includes all non-Weber State scholarships. You're required to report any outside aid you receive to the Athletics Compliance Office. Also in the realm of financial aid is the NCAA Special Assistance Fund. This is money that the NCAA provides to each institution to benefit its student athletes. At Weber State, we spend this SAF money on SAC programming, academic services, emergencies and hardships, such as a flight to attend the funeral for the death of a family member, summer school, 5th and 6th year aid if you've been a scholarship student athlete, and graduate school placement exams. Finally, if you are receiving an athletic scholarship, you must complete the Weber State scholarship application in your portal each year. If you don't do this, the money in your account will not be dispersed to your student account.
Everyone has social media, but it's important to remember what is permissible and impermissible to post. First, use common sense. Assume all posts are public, and don't post anything you wouldn't want your family to see. The NCAA prohibits posting information about injuries and PSA recruitment. Student athletes cannot publicize a prospect's recruitment, visit to campus, or commitment to Weber State.
That's a brief introduction to NCAA rules in the world of NCAA compliance. We hope you learned something today. If you ever have any questions, feel free to stop by our offices in the stadium, offices 203 and 204. Remember, always ask before you act. Have a great season in your sports. Go Wildcats.